From the air, it looks a lot like any other forest, this dense and beautiful blanket of evergreens that covers a large area of the Chisuncook Wilderness Country up in Piscataquis County in northern Maine. That snow-capped peak way over there on the horizon is Mount Katahdin, the highest point in the state. In one respect, this great forest is the last of its kind. It's the last big stand of America's virgin pumpkin pine, a local name for one of the finest of the eastern white pines. Among those who will mourn most the passing of the pumpkin pine are the pattern makers and wood carvers. They've always treasured it for their work. It's a soft, fine-textured, closely grained, and easily workable wood that cuts cleanly in any direction without splintering. Yes, they'll tell you, when we had plenty of pumpkin pine to work with, man, those were the days. The pumpkin pine once flourished in many parts of the northeastern United States. But when we finish logging them out of here, they'll probably be gone for a long time. Anyway, in sufficient quantities for commercial use. We're clearing these out because some are already dead and many of the others have grown old and rotten at the core. They'll soon die and eventually fall and molder away without serving any useful purpose. Down there is our logging camp. It's fairly easy to get in here by air, but roads are few and far between in this vast wilderness. That big patch of snow-covered ice is Moose Lake, where we're booming the pumpkin pine. That's one of our log piles there in the snow. We'll float them to the mill come the spring thaw. Hauling 100 million feet of timber out of dense frozen wilderness is quite a chore. It calls for a special kind of rugged, sure-footed power that can get around easy and do lots of different jobs, that can get good traction on glare ice and not conk out even when the mercury slides down to 30 below. Our dependable crawler tractors are the only answer. Why not log it out in the summertime? Well, the country all around here is full of bogs and marshes and lakes and streams, and our job is all around easier, except for the bitter cold, of course, when everything's frozen over. For example, in order to get the heavy tractors in here, we waited until the lakes and streams were frozen hard, then used them for roads. We brought the powerful crawlers in because we need their kind of pull, to tow, haul, and drag with drawbar or winch and cable. And because we need their kind of push, too. On glare ice, or anywhere else for that matter, only the big crawler tractors can apply such tremendous force to these logs, which weigh tons. These husky steel brutes do in minutes what it would take many men and horses, many freezing hours of hard labor to accomplish. When we got here, our dozers had to bull through blowdowns, swamp their way across mushy bogs, and shove heavy boulders out of frozen stream beds to build our haul roads into the pumpkin pine. Our road tender repairs and corduroys the soft spots and some of the turns with small logs. This helps to support the weight of our tractors and keeps our sleighs from slipping sidewise off the road. And whenever we need another road, we just slam the dozers in there and build it. It's all part of our daily work. We depend on power for cutting, too. You seldom see the sharp, steely flash of an axe or the rhythmic whip of a cross-cut saw in the woods anymore. Not on the big jobs, anyway. They've given way almost entirely to power-driven chainsaws that do a faster, neater job. This tree is 4.5 feet through at the butt, and the bark is 5 inches thick. But the chainsaw will chew through it fast. The kerf, or notch, is quickly but carefully cut and cleaned out. The kerf has to be exactly right, because that's how we aim the fall of the tree. We decide ahead of time where we want it to lie when it comes down, and then fell it right on that line. As the cut nears completion, all eyes are drawn skyward, watching for the top to tilt. Ears are tuned for the warning crack at the butt, the cue for the rousing cry of timber! As soon as the tree's down, the scaler marks it off in 20-foot lengths, or chunks as we call them. Then the sawmen will move in and chunk up the tree. In every phase of our work, we're careful to protect the pine seedlings that will eventually reforest this area and the saplings that are already flourishing. A tractor skids the chunks out to the nearest yard, a clearing where we pile them temporarily. We don't take much time when we knock off for lunch. You feel the cold too much if you stop moving for long. It's not fancy fare, mostly cold baked beans and steaming hot coffee, but it's mighty filling. We'll get them down as soon as possible, then get on the go again. The gobby birds take over and clean up the scraps we leave. Back on the job, the saw bites in again. Another kerf is cut and cleaned out. Another pumpkin pine hits the forest floor. Our scaler marks it off, and we chunk it up. On and on the job goes day after day through 100 million feet of timber. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the forest, one of our yards of logs is being pulled down in order to load out a sleigh train. Tractor power does the job with winch and cable. Here, our versatile crawler tractors do triple duty. This tractor will also furnish power for the hoist that loads the logs and then will haul the loaded sleigh train out to the lake. The logs are loaded on the sleighs in short order. Only an expert crew could make it look so simple and easy. They move quickly and surely with practiced teamwork. They do the thinking and the guiding, while the tractor-powered winch-controlled cable does most of the work. They whisk up a huge log and load it securely in place in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take the boys long to load out a sleigh train, and as soon as one is ready for the road, the tractor comes up front to hitch onto it and get it moving. Then starts the long haul out to the boom on the lake. Along the way, that rear-mounted winch and cable comes in mighty handy again. On a very steep grade, the operator holds the train at a standstill while he moves the tractor forward, paying out cable from the winch as he goes. Then he holds the tractor at a standstill and pulls the train up with the winch and cable. Up here in the Maine woods, we call this winching out. One more time ought to do it. It's over the hump, and we're on our way again. A sleigh train snaking through the woods is like homespun down-east poetry in motion. The smooth, unfaltering power of the thundering tractor, the easy grace of the twisting train, the crisp crunch of the frozen snow, the clean, sparkling cold that keens the senses, the sharp, tangy breath of the pine. It reaches right down into the core of a man, gets into his blood and his marrow, makes him know that it's great to be a logger and good to be alive. And now we're back where we started, getting in position to winch off another sleigh train load of logs so we can bulldoze them into the boom pile. Nearby, a woodsman bores holes in the boom logs that will eventually surround and hold the rest of the logs together when they're floated to the mill. In the old days, before we had these powerful tractors, building access roads, moving logs from the stump to the yard and from the yard to the boom was back-breaking, man-killing work every step of the way. But not anymore. Nowadays, you'll find these massive crawler tractors, strong as bull elephants and sure-footed as mountain goats, right in the thick of every modern logging operation. Just like you've seen them here, logging out the last of our virgin pumpkin pine.